You know, when you talk about foundations and you talk about what feelings the people get and the vibe they get when government is working, it's very, very important. And comments and actions also, when you put them on the table, you ask yourself truly if this is headed where it is supposed to head. The issue now has to do with corruption again. I go back to it. And simple things as, well, people that have been fingered and people that have been alleged to be corrupt, and you get to see them in the corridors of power. That doesn't really show a government that is building an institution or that has, well, the intention to fight it. And you now marry that with, when we sit down, most of us have younger ones, parents and even cousins, and they come to you to define corruption. And we get to hear that the talk of stealing not being corruption and corruption not being stealing. These are some of the things you put in the mix, and it doesn't really add up.
Well, let me answer you about this issue of stealing not being corruption. It is too easy. Corruption has become too easy a word. We use corruption even when people are inefficient. There are people I know who are inefficient. They do something that ends up not working well, and we accuse them of corruption. Okay, so I don't even know what the definition of corruption is. And I don't even think that corruption is the most damaging thing to Nigerians. I think inefficiencies are. I think wrong policies are. A single wrong policy will cause more pain to Nigerian people than an act of corruption. So let us face the fact that we have a number of problems. And how do we deal with them? You're talking about people being fingered. Even in my small job, every day I hear accusations of this person has done this person is taking money, this person has done something. And if you start listening, if you allow, for example, all of us have questions about immunity of governors and some government officials. But I assure you, if governors were not immune, they will be in court from the day they take office to the day they leave. Nigerians like to make accusations. And so when you have a leadership that says, I will pursue, I will allow due process. The fact that you've accused somebody of corruption does not make me sack that person that day. Let us go through due process. And if the person is found to be guilty of what they're accused of, they will be removed. Believe me, if you were sitting in President Jonathan's shoes, you will hear all sorts of accusations against all sorts of people. And if you reacted to all of them the way Nigerians want to, some of them are sensational. And we know those ones. But I think that the idea that we will go through due process before we penalize somebody is the way Nigeria should go.
I think I agree with you, but you know where you get confused is, well, not being equitable in the discharge of that. Look at the former CBN governor. We, the nation, the federal government, didn't wait for us to go through the whole hog to see if he was guilty or not. But he was eased out, and you get to see another person. He sits pretty well, and we tell ourselves that, well, we really can't act based on what we have been told. We have to let this person stay in office. So when you see one is out and one stays, how do you put that before someone who is quite logical?
Let me say that I will not sit here and defend everything that has been done. But I will not also sit here and ignore all the good things that have been done. So you may have picked an example where a little more patience may have been exercised. I don't know. I don't know all the facts. But we can pick things where something could have been done better. And if anybody tells you they're going to go in there and any job, even I tell people that I've made many mistakes in AMCON, that if I had to do it all over again, there's some things I would not have done. But the idea is to learn from the mistakes. And so you can tell me many things that the government has done that it shouldn't have done, and I will agree with you. But I look at the whole picture. I look at the fact is, are Nigerians going towards a place that is better for Nigeria 10, 15, 20 years from now? And I would say yes. The power privatization, people are expecting that after 30 years of no power, all of a sudden, because you've privatized power, power will improve dramatically. No, we've laid the foundation for an improved power situation. You will see the benefits, my guess, in the next 3 to 5 years. And when that improvement starts, it will continue. We now have a basis for getting to 50,000 megawatts. We didn't have that before.
So, but some people will say perhaps this is a case of, being truthful, about being transparent, about being honest about what the situation is, and not about promises, because this is about, I know that I haven't heard you enumerate, maybe you haven't been given the chance, the things that are good just yet, but I have a feeling that power, you would say, is one of them, since we're talking about foundations as it is. But what we've been getting over the years, promises. And maybe we had cause to hope, because at some point, it would seem that electricity did improve under a particular minister, and people were wondering what exactly, maybe this is actually beginning to pay off. And then there was a change of hands before we knew what was happening. It would seem that we were back on the erratic path again. We're told June, no, January, no. The dates kept on moving. But perhaps the reality all along was that this was going to take 5 years, or perhaps a little more. But we were not told the truth. Why is truth such a difficult commodity in government?
You have phrased it in a way that's difficult for me to answer. Let me say this. It is the nature of people in jobs to make promises. Because those promises, I think, drive them to higher achievement levels. If I sit here and tell you, I'll give you an example about AMCON. We started in AMCON in November 10th, and we're told we had to buy roughly 2 trillion worth of bad debts by December 31st, year end. The year end mattered because if we hadn't done it by then, there'll have been an issue with the bank's balance sheets for the following year. In 6 weeks, we had no staff, and we had 6 people that were in AMCON at the time. It was a new organization. And we promised loudly we're going to get it done by December 31st. And everybody said to me, it's not possible. I said, but if we don't aim very, very high, we're going to fall short of what we can do. So when a minister says June, he may in his own inner heart feel that it's an ambitious target.
So perhaps the minister can say that. But when the president says it, people take him and his words a lot more seriously.
He has to listen to his minister. If the minister has an ambitious target, then let us hope that that ambitious target drives him and his institution to do the best they can. And when they fail to hit that ambitious target, we should know ourselves, as educated people, that you do not go from 3,000 megawatts to 15,000 megawatts in 12 months. And the fact that somebody is trying to do that should be applauded.
Pardon me, let me jump in and look at the related matter concerning this power sector, because people look for responsive governments. I mean, if the ministers give the president certain information and he in turn responds to it, people there expect that Nigerians will hope and expect that, okay, this is in the best interest of the country. If you say that the power sector has been privatized, maybe it's say 3 to 5 years, you begin to see the results. How do we explain to people out there who think, okay, first of all, there's that policy about estimated metering and then, the metering system.
Yes.
And then the complaints are huge out there. The bills that people receive on a daily basis are increasing, year in, year out. At the same time, they're not getting the kind of supply that they should get. So many would have thought, look, if we're not going to get rapidly improved supply in the next 3 to 5 years, why are we getting this increase in tariffs, even though we don't see the service as often or as much as we should, having been privatized?
Because investments are being made now. And investments that are being made now will lead to, when I say 3 to 5 years, that is my personal estimation. Now, it may be quicker than that. It may be, maybe I'm completely off base. But I think, there's a book I read, which I recommend to everybody. And it involved a lot of Indians. It was in an Indian village, and there was a fire. And there was one gentleman that had the medical aid to help them. So he had helped so many of them, he fell asleep. And when he woke up, there was a line of thousands waiting for him. And he said to them, why didn't you wake me up? These people have been waiting. And the response was, don't worry about it. They'd been waiting for nothing all their lives. Now they have something to wait for. And the point I'm making is, Nigerians have something to look forward to now. Yes, there's estimated billing. Yes, the power is not quite there. But I can tell you that people now can look forward to a time when we will have power because the foundation has been put in place. How long that takes and how long we drive ourselves and how hard we drive ourselves to get there is for all of us to do. It's for you to reassure people that you have seen the foundation and the building is coming up.
What else is this good thing that you say the government has done that people should focus on?
I have a list.
Oh dear.
And I am going to focus on foundations. And when I say this, I say people should not expect miracles in one day. But the Nigerian financial system is very solid. It will weather these current economic headwinds we're going to have, and it will continue to become one of the strongest financial sectors in the world, which you need.
Even with the Forex situation going on now?
The Forex situation is complicated by a number of things. But I think that when this number of things are resolved, that it will stabilize.
Any timeline?
If I give you the timeline, I think, you'll think it has to do with politics. So let me avoid that. What I must say is that going forward, under the previous administration of the CBN, it was a matter for stability. We needed stability. We had come through very turbulent times. We needed a stable banking system, stable exchange rates, stable inflation, and that's what we needed. What we need now, going forward, is growth. The only way Nigeria can get out of a financial difficulty or economic difficulty is growth and increase in productivity. If we aim at those two things, and now we have a stable financial system, we must use it to grow. We must use the government's balance sheet to grow.